So something unusual this evening, and a boot that I didn't even know existed. This is the 9133 from Red Wing. And this came up in my Instagram a couple of months ago. A friend of mine had some new old stock in their store. So that's Ben at Does Denim. I'll put a link below. And it caught my eye. It was a right price. It's about £125 he wanted for it. And it was actually in my size. So I thought, need to get hold of those, just check them out. Really interesting construction. So this is a true moccasin. So you've got a second panel at the bottom there, which sort of goes over under the whole foot area. And then you've got this thin deck sole, reminiscent of soles I remember seeing on Timberlands back in the day, just stitched through that. I really don't like the sole. Very, very thin. No real grip. It's sort of got slight sort of zigzaggy sort of cut in it, which I'm sure is great for a boat, but nowhere else really. Not particularly attractive. But yeah, it really caught my eye. Wondered about resoling them, so giving it that sort of Yucatan, sort of traditional Native American sort of construction look. Stitching on a new welt, maybe a nice tan Vibram lug, could be quite nice. But nonetheless, I really want to get hold of these and just share them. Can't find much about these, so turn to Reddit, turn to the internet. What do people know? It sounds like these weren't even made by Red Wing, so probably dating from around 2012 and constructed maybe by Rancourt in Maine. If you look at their webpage, you can find lots of sort of more traditional, softer looking moccasins and boat shoes, so you can see the DNA in there. So I think I'm probably of the mind that it was outsourced. So if you know anything about that, let me know. I've reached out to Red Wing, and at this time of filming, I've not had a reply. But yeah, if you know anything about these, please do share, and we'll come in, have a little bit of a look at the details on these. So just looking at construction, first thing to look at is this hawthorn leather. Now I've brought out my shop box, so the 8079s, and they've had a bit of wear. They've been made probably a decade or more recently than the 9133s here, but that leather, pretty similar. A slightly lighter shade on the sort of boat boots. I think the shop mox is a slightly heavier feel to it. I'm assuming if these were outsourced, which I do believe they were, that Red Wing would still have provided the leather. Now we know from the ladies models they do have different grades of leather, so maybe that makes sense. But yeah, nice leather nonetheless, good colour. And what I really like about these is the double sort of sole, or the double leather upper at the where it meets the sole there. Really, really nice. Gives me the Yucatan sort of vibes. Lots of lovely, lovely stitching. A triple stitch around the sort of the quarter, the ankle piece, at the top of the ankle. Really, really good. And what I don't like at all is these soles. Very, very thin. But that is what you get with a boat shoe. Now it's got this sort of zigzaggy sort of cut into it, which I remember many years ago being intrigued with on some of the Timberlands. And as you sort of flex your foot, that opens up. So I assume that's both kind to the deck and suitably grippy for a boat. I don't think this is a genuine Red Wing sole, although it's branded up in the middle there. But yeah, only really fit for a boat. The interesting thing is the stitch. So that's stitched from the inside. We can't see that unfortunately because we've got an insole sort of glued in, but I believe that's a full moccasin, so the boot leather continues underneath the bottom of the boot, and that's just stitched on from the outside. As I said, very tempted to investigate getting these resoled. New welt, maybe a nice tan Vibram lug. Just style it up a bit. A little bit of branding on the ankle. Nice little heel pull there. Just looking on the inside, we've got no bellows on the tongue. It's a really simple construction. We've got that leather insole, nice and padded. Actually, it doesn't go the full length, and you can, or I can, just see the stitching through the bottom there. Not sure if we can make it out for the camera, but just tucked into the toe, you can start seeing the stitching going into the sole. Really good construction, very, very light structure on the heel there. Barely any sort of heel cap there. And another little hint, maybe, that these weren't made by the very sort of hands of Redwing themselves, is that we've got a different way of designating the model. Normally we have a way of telling the date. I'll show you that on the shop box. Yeah, interesting boots. As I say, don't know much about these. If you've ever had these or know about their history, let me know. If you've got any other examples of Redwing outsourcing their construction, which isn't something I thought they really did, please let me know. And yeah, share anything you think is of use. Do you like these? Would you wear them as is, get them resold, or just leave them on the shelf in your old stock? Okay, well, that's pretty much about it. If you haven't seen the channel before, please do check it out. Lots of Redwing boots and other quality footwear, denim, all that sort of stuff. Please check it out. If you found this interesting, please give it a thumbs up. Of course, subscribe, and I'll see you for the next video. Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.